There is no such thing as a starter's pack for spirituality. Crystals is not going to save you. Having sage in your house doesn't make you spiritual. However, these are things that I've seen over and over again, and I felt like if I don't do all of these things, I'm not a spiritual person. So I have to get my work up. And this is how I burnt myself, and this is how I overworked myself. And then I started feeling guilty because I didn't do what everyone else was doing. Hi, so family. Welcome back to my channel. We talk about all things to heal, grow, and evolve. And today, I'm going to talk about why we should not feel guilty about taking breaks on our spiritual journey. If this is your first time watching, welcome. My name is Sage, and on this channel, we talk about all things such as spirituality, growth, metaphysics, African history. If that's something that interests you, then just keep on watching. I feel like just like any other things in our lives, work, relationships, friendships, networking, we all need a break. It is not something that we just do on go, go, go mode. I feel like if we always put ourselves on go, go, go mode, just like any other things in our lives, that's going to overwhelm us to the point of burnout. And I'm saying this specifically for me because I felt so guilty because I was so overwhelmed with keeping up on my altar, meditating every day, making sure I'm cleansing myself, making sure I'm taking these spiritual baths, making sure I'm journaling. I always got to be at a high frequency. Oh, I can't say this word. It's low vibrational. Oh, I can't do this. It's low vibrational. I don't want to lower my vibration. Oh, I just had this low vibrational thought in my head. Now I got to say 3 positive affirmations to counter that. I just felt so overwhelmed. And honestly, I feel like I just developed such a hyper awareness about every little thing I did, I said, of my thoughts, of how I dressed, how I looked, what I absorbed, what I was watching on social media, the type of movies I've watched. I feel like I gained such a hyper awareness that I felt overwhelmed and I burned myself out with spirituality. And then I started to feel guilty, and this is where I went on like a rabbit hole, feelings of shame, guilt, like I was born to do this destiny. Like how dare I got tired? How dare I feel guilty? How dare I wanted to take a break? Like, this is my purpose. This is my destiny on earth. Like, why do I feel so burned out about what I chose to accomplish, what I chose to do when I came to this earth? Why do I feel so exhausted about doing this? Like, how dare I keep up with my spiritual duties? These are the type of thoughts that kept playing over and over and over in my head. And then I developed an unhealthy relationship with myself, my thoughts, and with my spirituality. My spiritual relationship was unhealthy because of these thoughts that kept roaming and ruminating in my head. I just felt like I just built up all this pressure within myself to keep up with myself. And then I knew at this point, all right, something is not right. This is not how I'm supposed to be feeling in my spiritual journey. There's supposed to be a flow, not a force. And I feel like if I kept going in this direction, if I kept moving in this routine, I feel like I am forcing myself to be spiritual. And spirituality is not something you're supposed to force. It's something that is a flow. It's a lifestyle. But however, in this current time of my life, I feel like I was just doing too much at once, where I feel like everything I did was a burden. At this point in my life, I feel like I was doing too much and I was doing the absolute most to the point where I just needed to slow down. Also, being on social media is another thing that was not helping me because comparison is the thief of joy for real. Because I was looking at how I did my spirituality. Now other people posted how other people did theirs online, the things they posted, and I was like, I don't meditate 3 times a day. I don't meditate for an hour. I need to get my spiritual game up. Oh, their altar is looking nice. They got all these fancy things. I don't have that on my altar. I need to set my game up. And that was when I started to compare myself to my journey to other people's. But those are 2 entirely separate, independent journeys. Independent spiritual goals, independent spiritual duties. It has nothing to do with each other. How other people do theirs is not how I should do mine, and vice versa. However, being on social media, it's easy to compare myself to how other people are doing their work. Another thing I've noticed is I feel like spirituality has developed into this own box or a label of how you're supposed to look, how you're supposed to talk. If you don't say grand rising, you're not spiritual. If you don't walk around with a bunch of crystals and copper bracelets, you're not spiritual. If I don't walk around with the Erykah Badu head wrap, you're not spiritual. These are things that have been false. These are things that are fake and distractions placed in our system, placed on social media, placed by other people to make us feel like we are spiritual if we do X, Y, Z. Spirituality cannot be placed in a box. It is infinite. It is omnipresent. It is all of these things. It comes in all walks of life. It comes in all shades of color. It comes in all different ways. It is so diversified. You can't just put spirituality into one category, into one box. There is no such thing as a starter's pack for spirituality. Crystals is not going to save you. Having sage in your house doesn't make you spiritual. However, these are things that I've seen over and over again. And I felt like if I don't do all of these things, I'm not a spiritual person. So I have to get my work up. And this is how I burnt myself. And this is how I overworked myself. And then I started feeling guilty because I didn't do what everyone else was doing. Just because I don't have 5-star meal gourmet for my ancestors' meal doesn't mean I'm not spiritual enough. And that's another thing I want to mention. Your ancestors do not hate you because you don't go to your altar every single day. Before, I used to be terrified of going to my altar because it's been over a week and I have not given them and I have not fed them and put anything on my altar. And that just the guilt just ate me up to the point where I was like, all right, I don't even want to go near it. I was terrified. And that's another feared behavior. That is another feared, irrational thing that we were taught. Your ancestors don't hate you. Go to your altar. Your ancestors do not hate you because you haven't seen them in a month. Because you haven't been to your altar in a month, your ancestors do not hate you for that. They know what's in your heart. They know your true intentions. Really, the physical don't even matter. Our altar is within our own body. Carry our altar. Our true altar is our body. That is our true altar. I carry my altar. I walk within my altar every single day. If you want to get down to the specifics, the physical altar we have, that is just a physical manifestation of what we already have within us, that what is already inside of us. So overall, it's okay. There is no reason for you to feel guilty about your altar or about your spiritual work in general. I think we need to see it from a different perspective, not feel guilty if we don't do everything that we normally do in our routines and our habits, but just give compassion to ourselves. Because spirituality is about developing the highest vibration of unconditional love, and guilt is in the way of reaching that frequency. So I feel like we need to see it from a different perspective. It's okay to give ourselves permission to take a break. Give yourself that permission to take a break if you need to. Give yourself compassion to do that if you need to, and then start getting back to it when you're ready. Just like another skill, another hobby you have, you can take a break and pick up right when you're left off when you're ready to get there again. You're allowed to do that in peace. That is how we create a balance in this life. Because remember, we are spiritual beings living a human experience. The human experience is creating that balance of spiritual and physical. We still do the spiritual work while living in the 3D realm. We learn how to operate in this modern society as a spiritual being. And it's okay for us to take breaks. There is nothing wrong with that. There is no fear, there is no shame, and don't let anybody make you feel ashamed of taking a break, ashamed of not having all the crystals, all the rocks, all the gems in your closet. Don't allow people to make you feel ashamed for not having all of these things. And take a break when needed. And then just get right back to it. Give yourself that permission and that grace to do so. All right, so family, that is my video I have for today. I hope this video finds you well. If there's any questions you have or comments you want to add, let me know down in the comments. And until next time, I will see you on the next video. Bye, y'all.